Poul's Kitchen is Chef Paul. With me today is Chef Amy.
Hi.
Alex is sleeping or doing something else today.
Working.
Oh, working. All right. Today we're going to do a video on sliders. So I've already gotten started a little bit. I got a baking tray in here, and basically I'm going to try to fill this as much with ground beef. So I'm going to separate this and put this on here as much as I can, and this is going to be slightly messy, and that's fine. Sliders can be really fun, and I want to show a couple of people a little bit about what you can do with these, because there's a lot of really cool things you can do with sliders. And this is still a little frozen, but we're trying to do the best with what we have. What we want to do is we want to try to press down and get as much of a square feel as we can. Now, this is not going to be a ready-made meal that's going to take you like 5 minutes to make. I'm going to try to make this as best as I can from White Castle. So you're going to need some onions, obviously. You're going to have a little bit of cheese, and I know a lot of people are trying to push cheese slices, American cheese on there. I'm not going to push that. In fact, I'm not even going to say that it's worth your time. I don't like American cheese, and it's not because I don't like American. I just don't like American cheese. I prefer something a little bit more European myself. Canadian's pretty good too, but I just don't really like the melting point of American cheddar. And again, I don't like cheese slices. Like they're not as healthy, they're not as good. And now I know what you're thinking, like these are for sliders and I'm probably making too much for one sitting, and that's true. Especially where we have a roommate that won't touch this at all because, well, it's not that she's vegan, she isn't, but she doesn't like beef. She's Indian, so I think we can understand where that's probably coming from, which is not really a big deal, but she don't like beef, and that's fine. The thing with sliders is you can make these, and you can put this in the freezer, and you can just heat this up later. Speaking of the freezer, this is actually going to be in the freezer for about 4 hours before we're ready to make anything with it. Why? Because we need this really, really firm to start cooking it, and it's just not going to be that firm right at the beginning. So we want to put this on a pan here before we begin. Now, Amy, take a good look at that for a second. I'll be right back. I'm going to, wash my hands so somebody closed the door. So give me a moment here. I just want to wash my hands a little bit. Now sliders, you're gonna ask, like why sliders? Well, sliders are really good. Nope, come on baby, you can't be up here. Come on baby, no. We always have a captive audience here. So I'm going to just remove the sides here because this will make it a little bit cleaner. I can use the rest of this meat for something else after, so it's not a big deal. Okay, so I gotta judge. And it's always best to do this right on the pan itself, because if you were to take the parchment paper and just start moving it, what's going to end up happening is it's going to start separating, and it's going to make a really big mess when you go to transfer it into something. And this has to go right in the freezer, so this is a pretty easy method to just take it over and put it in the freezer on top. It's only going to be there for about 4 hours. So I think this is actually pretty good. It's all right to leave it a little bit, not by much, a little bit bigger than you want, because after all, when you cook this, this is going to reduce in size. Now you're going to ask, what can I possibly do with all this beef here? Oh, that's actually easy.
You make a hamburger.
You could make it just a regular hamburger. So we'll throw that on a plate. We'll put that in one of the freezers and let that firm up a little bit, and guess what?
We have hamburgers.
We could have a hamburger tonight. It's already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Give me 1 second here. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's going to take about 4 hours for that to be done. And so, it's safe to say we're not having hamburgers. We're not having
sliders
tonight. Unless Amy wanted to show up late for work.
No.
But nonetheless, these do need to be firm before you actually stick them in. Now I'm going to take a chopstick. Now, why does White Castle do this? I don't know. And this is lined with parchment paper, by the way. So a few things that you might want before we go any further. And again, this is going to be at least 4 hours, maybe a little longer, doesn't matter. In 4 hours time, I'm going to take them out of the deep freeze. I'm going to put them in Tupperware. I'm going to break them off and take this completely out, but some things you want. Terre Haute, this is for you. You can get some jalapeno and some onion. You're going to need a good slider bun for it. You can get rolls for it. Go to good cheese. Again, I'm not recommending American cheddar. It's not what I'd use. We got some Gouda for it. I've got parchment paper on here, and I'm also going to load this with parchment paper on top as well. And that's it. Now, you want to try to make this as level as you can. Didn't do the best job in the world, and that's fine. You do want some onions. I would have preferred white. There was none, so I got some red. Not a big deal. Now, condiments. If you go to White Castle, I'm going to say, from what I see, I don't think they don't put any condiments on it. I'm going to say probably no to ketchup. Everybody seems to think that's the best in the world. Maybe a mayo mix with some mayo, mustard, barbecue sauce, stuff like that. That would be all right. Lettuce, tomato if you want it. I'm not going to use lettuce. I'm not going to use a tomato. I might use a condiment if we do, but definitely going to have cheese. So I'm going to stick this in the deep freeze for now. It needs to be there for 4 hours. Longer is fine, no less. So please hit that like, share, subscribe button. And here's Chef Butterscotch. Say hi, butterscotch. She keep. So I'm just going to stick this in here for now. Probably make Amy clean this a little bit so we can actually close it. No, it's not closing.
No.
But she'll clean that out and I'll be fine. So for now, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. We appreciate you. You have a great day, and we'll be back when we're ready to start cooking. Welcome back. So I got Amy with me again.
Hi.
This is Poul. So we're back. So I'm going to have 2 pots here, and we're going to try to do this. Try to make as much as we can because, well, it just makes it easier. So I've got some onions that I've cut, and I'm going to cut up another one really quick here. Doesn't take too long to cook. And I'm just going to basically line the pan here. Might not even need a second onion.
No, probably don't.
Yeah, I probably could use a little bit more, but I don't care. This should be good enough. Ideally, you want to kind of line your pan with it. I don't know that you need to go too crazy with it. It's not a big deal. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this on 6 and on the back. Then I'm going to grab a little bit of a glass. And we're going to get some water for it. Because we're not going to use oil. We don't need oil for this. I don't want to throw another onion in there for, well, what do we have left? Oh, you know what?
Well,
I still have this one right here.
I was going to say we have one I've already started.
All right, so you know what? I'm just going to chop this up really quick. Now, someone's going to say, you know, like, Poul, what type of onion works best for this? And I'm going to tell you straight up, whatever onion you like. Some people are pretty fussy on the type of onions that they're using. And you know what? That's totally up to you. We're all going to have our own specific preferences, and that's fine. Like have whatever type of onion that you prefer. Everybody's going to be a little different. Nobody's going to be identically the same. It's whatever you like. Sometimes I prefer white, that's my favorite, but sometimes you can't even get it. Or sometimes it tends to be a little bit more pricey because it's wintertime, so it's not exactly in market right now. So yeah, so that works.
That was just enough, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I'm just going to give my hands a quick rinse because onions usually make things a little bit. So this is where the water comes in. Alright, so these burgers have been sitting in here for over 24 hours. So they've been sitting.
They look good.
They do. Now, ideally, you'd have a big, like a really big, flat, rectangular type of grill.
But we don't have that.
Yeah, we don't, and I wouldn't use a barbecue because again, we're using water for this. We're not using a. We're not using a barbecue because we've got water. Right now, if you want to use a barbecue, it will work. But I mean, for this particular recipe where we're basically using water for it, and you know, keep your water handy because I mean, you may need to put a little bit more because as this heats up, your water's going to disintegrate.
Yeah.
So you're going to let this cook out here for a while. You can already smell this. Just going to push this down.
You can definitely smell the onion.
Yep. The onion's going to give it a better texture.
And prevent it from burning.
Yeah. And this is how White Castle does this. So we got 6.
And 6.
So we got 12. And where do we have our buns?
In the fridge on the bottom.
Right here.
And we had 12.
So we got perfect amount.
Mmm. If only you guys could smell what it smells like in here. You'd be hungry.
And the best part about this is you don't have to eat this right away. You can eat this later. It's not a thing where it has to be eaten right away.
No.
So for the buns we're using slider buns.
Which makes sense because we made sliders.
So for these, they are going to make you cut them. They don't pre-cut, which I don't understand why, but
Yeah, that's weird.
it is what it is.
Huh.
And I actually have a proper knife for this. Now, a lot of times what a lot of people will do is they'll stack these on top. We're not going to do that. I'm not even going to melt the butter, but if you want, or not the butter, the cheese. Now, if you're that person that really likes to have their cheese melted on top of there, you want to take a cheese slice and notice how
It's too big.
it's too big. So you can cut that. I'm going to purposely leave it like that. And I'm all right with that. Okay, so it's not done. It's not ready yet. So
No.
I'm going to leave that here. But what you can do with the rest of the burgers sliders that you're not ready for, and you can basically freeze them.
Yeah. Once they're cooked, you can do whatever you want with them.
Yeah.
Have them whenever you want.
So just take a moment and just make sure you're cutting these down. Now, if you're not making sliders and you're just making a full-size burger, you can do the same thing. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. Now, I'm not going to go this far, but some people even go out and what they'll do is they'll actually they'll take them once they're cooked and they'll put them in the oven for 15 minutes. You add a little bit of butter and then some sesame seeds on top of there.
Oh.
Put your cheese in there and let it sit in the oven for 15 minutes. Maybe we'll do that. Amy and I will have to fight that one out. See what
That
she
actually
thinks.
sounds good. Probably give it flavor. More flavor than it already has. Right?
Yeah. And see, this is cooking just fine
Yeah.
via
Water,
and onions.
yeah.
One of those broke apart a little bit.
That's okay. It'll still taste good.
So we get the inspiration from for this from we're watching videos on White Castle, which is an American company. They're not in Canada. I don't actually think they're anywhere other than California. Could be wrong, but I think that's the way it is. So unfortunately for us, White Castle is not a thing. We're not going to be able to get it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I wish we could, but we won't. It is just basically what it is. There's no way around it. 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, it's working.
We had just enough
We had just enough.
for buns and cheese.
Yep. I didn't actually plan this out to work exactly like this.
It's just the way it worked out.
Yep. Now, one thing you can do if you wanted, I'm not going to put any condiments on this. You don't need to. These are just about done. They're so small and skinny that they really don't need a whole lot of time.
No, they don't.
And when you cook it this way, this actually makes your burger a lot more juicy, a lot more tender. It really tastes a lot better. Now, one thing you can do if you wanted to, when you're done, you can, and give me one moment, Amy will take care of that. Somebody's cat apparently went running out the door, and they weren't sure whose cat it was, so we tend to have a lot of cats around here, so
They came knocking on our door.
they come knocking on our door. So now I'm going to turn the heat off here, and then I'm going to start putting these on. Now, Amy, how does this look?
Really good. Mmm. Yummy.
Normally, I'd only make one up and get this done and not make you guys have to wait a long time to watch things. But the problem is that if I let you guys go too quick, then you're going to then I'm gonna burn something probably. So
And we don't want that.
Now, one thing you really do need to watch out for is as these cook down, they are going to get smaller.
Yeah.
So some of these are probably a little bigger than I really want. And the holes were supposed to, in freezing them overnight, was supposed to help it from firm up and fall apart. But unfortunately, nothing's perfect.
One fell apart.
Yeah, and that happens. That's fine.
But one is okay.
So,
right?
Yeah, so what you're going to do here is you're going to take some of the onions and you're just going to put them on top. Steamed onions tend to be really good.
Yes.
And when you're having hamburgers, steaming them is way better because they do make them nice and tender. And it's at this point where you want to, if you're going to put your ketchup or condiments on, this is when you put them on.
Or jalapenos for Quo.
Now, actually, Terho, I should have said this way earlier, but this point where you get to where you're putting the onions in, put some jalapeno right here.
Like, to cook with it,
cook
yeah.
with it, because it will give it a lot of different flavors. As it cooks, it will actually absorb right into your meat. So it's actually really good for that. Okay, so that part's done. So now what we're going to do, and yes, this is probably going to make it a, it's probably going to make it a, a lot of cheese on stuff. And yes, some people are going to say, well, you should just, let your cheese melt around the burger. If that's what you like, go ahead. I'm not a big fan of it myself, so I don't. So I'm going to put the cheese on there, push it right down.
And it'll melt.
It'll melt good enough for me and Amy on here, but
Yeah.
We're going to have another serving that's going to go in the freezer after a bit, so it's not a big deal. I really hope you guys like this. Please hit the like, share, subscribe button. Let me know if you've learned something from this, if this is something that you're going to try, or if you weren't aware of it. Some people believe that you have to use a lot of oil to cook them.
No.
You don't. Now, if you're going to barbecue, it's a whole different story. You don't need any oil or anything for that one. But if you're going to cut cheese, before you begin, use this as a template and maybe just go down so you're not...
Measure it.
Measure it so you're just not wasting cheese. I don't think it's really necessary here, but... So I'm just pushing down a little bit on this. And I'm going to put the top of the bun here. Yeah, This is a little bit of a hot mess here, and that's fine. I don't really want any condiments on there. The onion, the flavor of that should be good enough. So
yeah.
Let's take one good look here. Amy, what do you think?
Looks really good. I can't wait to try it.
Well, as soon as we get this done here, we're going to go eat. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Hit that like, share, subscribe button. We'll talk to you later. Have a good day.